Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, the #1 YouTube channel for you to level up your communication skills, learn the art of public speaking, social skills, and personal branding to take your message to the world. For today's episode, we're entering the world of public speaking, and I'm going to be talking about the pros and the cons of Toastmasters. So typically in this channel, I'm talking about a lot of the practical strategies that you can leverage to win in Toastmasters. But not just win in Toastmasters, win in weddings, in ceremonies, in conferences, etc. But today, the episode is more so geared for someone who's thinking about joining Toastmasters. Let's say you're a beginner. Should you join Toastmasters? I'll save you a lot of time. Yes, if you're someone with speech anxiety, go on and join Toastmasters because it is one of the best clubs to overcome speech anxiety. You don't have to watch any more of the video. But let's say you're one of the new speakers who wants a little bit more depth. You want to know the pros and the cons of Toastmasters. Well, I got you for that too. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 pros of the club and 3 cons of the club. And all these insights were gained after multiple years of experience within this club. I've had the opportunity to just be a visitor, to be a speaker, and to have positions within the recruitment chair and the external vice president, and to be a mentor. So luckily, there were opportunities for me to answer questions from other people who were thinking about joining the club, and not only answer questions, but I was able to spot their concerns. So this video isn't just going to have my insights, it's going to be sort of like a soup of insights from multiple different lenses. It's going to give you a lot of insights regarding the world of Toastmasters, and it's going to help you decide whether or not you should join this club. So with that being said, let's go off to the pros and the cons. Before we do that, make sure you drop a like right on below. So the first con is the multiple speaking opportunities. It's a misconception that in Toastmasters, the only speaking opportunity is the planned speeches. No, there's multiple speaking opportunities. There's the table topics, which are impromptu speeches. There are evaluations where you evaluate the planned speeches. There's the opportunity to be the Toastmaster, the person who leads the flow of the entire meeting. The general evaluator, the person who evaluates the entire meeting. There's the timer, the grammarian, the quizmaster, the counter, multiple different speaking opportunities for you. And what I recommend is that each meeting that you go to, make it a conscious effort to volunteer for these different speaking opportunities. So now you have the ability to approach public speaking from multiple different lenses. Huge key. That's the first pro. The second pro is the multiple networking opportunities. So by the time that you become a member, you're going to be talking to a lot of the other fellow members. And what you'll notice is some people are doctors. Some people are entrepreneurs, engineers, accountants, college students. And you'll start realizing that public speaking is one of those skill sets that do not discriminate. There's people from all parts of the world that want to become better public speakers. So not only are you overcoming your speech anxiety, you're also enhancing your social intelligence and building your network in the process. So that's the second pro. The third pro is the structure. Personally, I hate it when certain clubs, when I go there, one meeting is lit, the next meeting, and other meetings are just plain out bad. And that's because those meetings lack structure. They're just winging it. The beauty about Toastmasters is that there is a certain level of structure involved. And it doesn't matter if you're in Tampa or you're traveling to California and checking out the meeting in the California chapter. You'll see that a lot of the structure is similar. And it doesn't even matter if you go overseas. Ultimately, Toastmasters has a lot of patterns that each club abides by. Now granted, there's certain clubs with micro cultures as well, but the overall hierarchy, you know what you're getting into every single time that you're stepping into a Toastmasters club. That's the third pro. The fourth pro is getting into a creator's mindset. All too often, say you're like the average person who gets out of work and the first thing that they do is they turn on Netflix, keep on watching shows, and just stuffing their face with food. The thing that's wrong with that is that that's conditioning you to just be a consumer. And if all you do is consume, what's happening to you is that you're absorbing a lot of energy and you're not extracting that energy, causing you to become more anxious. But when you commit to joining a Toastmasters, one day out of the week, you know that you are going to be a creator. And once you go into a Toastmasters club meeting, you put yourself in the position for multiple speaking opportunities. And let's say you get called on stage, you talk, you speak, and you get off stage. There's a round of applause. There's a few thrills like that. Sure, the latest Netflix special may give you a certain adrenaline rush, but there's few adrenaline rushes like public speaking. And you start realizing that the more that you commit to the club and the more that you're creating different speeches. Not only do you become more confident, but this is a cornerstone habit. You start becoming a creator in other facets of your life as well. So that's the fourth pro. And the fifth pro, in my eyes, this is the most important, and that's kindness. When I first got introduced to Toastmasters, I didn't just join one club. I joined 3. I joined the Toastmasters at my work at that time, and I joined 2 Toastmasters from the Tampa Bay region. So 3 clubs in total. And from these 3 clubs, no one knew each other. So it was completely different people, but it was the same exact attitude. No matter which club I went to, every single person was so damn kind. When I was a new member walking into a club, there were multiple people saying, "Hey, are you new? Hey, my name is this, my name is that, my name is that. How about you sit next to me and I can explain to you how the club works?" So a lot of people are kind when you're a new member. And even when you are a member and you're overcoming speech anxiety, there's words of encouragement. There's different people giving you tips. There's different people sliding advice your way. Everyone wants you to succeed as much as you want other people to succeed. Toastmasters is one of these clubs where people are going there to improve. Not everyone has it figured out, and they're aware of that. That's why they're much more welcoming when you are trying to figure it out as well. So those are the 5 pros. Now off to the cons. The cons took me a while to think of, but after evaluating multiple concerns that I've heard and certain things that I feel as though can be improved, I noticed that there were 3 that stood out. But before I list those 3, I just want you to understand that these cons are basically created for the beginner. You start to realize as you become an intermediate speaker that a lot of these cons are actually stepping stones to pros, but I'll explain that later on. So the first con is the theory aspect of public speaking. There's never a point in Toastmasters where you're being sat down and you're learning the history of public speaking, what makes a good speech, this, that, and the third. You'll typically be given a mentor and you'll have a curriculum for your chosen pathway. And within that curriculum, there will be certain tips and strategies that you can use for your upcoming speech, but there's never that segment of sitting down and learning the theory. So just to give you an analogy, say you go to driver's school. Typically in driver's school, the first half is the theory aspect. They talk about the car, they talk about the different variables of the car, the dangers of driving, etc. And the second half is when you drive. It's when you're driving the car and you have an instructor sitting right next to you. Well, for Toastmasters, you typically skip the first half and you automatically go into the second half. So you're driving the car and at most there will be an instructor telling you what to improve, and afterwards there will be an evaluator giving you instructions on what you did right and what you can improve. So if you're looking for theory, you're not going to get much of that in Toastmasters. You're going to hit the ground running from the very beginning. So the second con is evaluators at certain times. Now, in certain times, there's 2 things that I've noticed with evaluators. If the club is very small, then a lot of the times beginners are being asked to evaluate. And this could be an issue because beginners haven't given much speeches themselves. So when they're getting on stage and they have to do an evaluation, that's nerve-wracking to a certain extent because you're not planning the night before for an evaluation. It's pretty much in that meeting, you have to create your evaluation and deliver it. So this could be a problem for a newbie speaker. And it could also be a a problem for the person being evaluated because you're being evaluated by someone who doesn't have that much experience yet. So that's one possible con. And another one is when you're getting evaluators that fall within two different spectrums. One guy is Mr. Nice Guy who's always talking about what you did right, what you did right, what you did right, and completely overlooks what you did wrong. And then there's the other guy, the very analytical, mean dude, who's just talking about what you did wrong, what you did wrong, what you did wrong, and completely brushes under the rug what you did right. So these are two scenarios where the evaluators can be the problem. And more often than not, this is something that is out of your control. This is where you have to just soldier through it. The third one is the whole concept of emotional speeches typically having an edge over the polished speeches. Now, I don't have a problem with this if it's an emotional, polished speech, but what I've noticed is, say you're a very composed speaker, your delivery is on point, and your speech was well structured. Well, oftentimes, it's a disadvantage compared to someone who's a more emotional speaker. Say they're very funny or they're very out there, or say during their speech, the delivery isn't that good, but they're very funny or they cry at the end. A lot of the times what I notice is that the audience favors that level of speaker to win the Best Speaker award. And this could be a problem if you're mainly joining Toastmasters to become a better presenter for work. Because you're not trying to be this very theatrical dude. You're trying to become this polished speaker who can insert strategic humor as well, but you're not trying to be all out there. All in all, this is something that you don't want to complain about too much because the audience is the one who votes on the best speaker. So it's the audience's role. What you can do in situations like this is do your best. If you're a polished speaker, maintain being polished, insert jokes, be funny, loosen up. And if you're an emotional speaker, consciously keep on making the effort to become more polished. Make sure your eyes aren't always darting all over the place. Make sure you're not unloading filler words left and right. Make sure your back isn't facing a certain part of the audience. Do it in a way where you can combine best of the both worlds. And those are my 3 cons in terms of Toastmasters. All in all, should you join the club? Yes, join the club. Because trust me, these cons took me a while to figure out because there's no other club like this. There's not many clubs where you have a warm environment to learn public speaking to a point where eventually you can take the skill set and apply it into other ventures. I get it. The world isn't safe all the time. There will be times where the audience won't be warm. But guess what? You still learned the skill set. You still can get in front of the audience. Even if, say, they're more hostile, say they're disinterested, you still have the confidence now to get on stage. You know how to create a speech and you know how to deliver a speech. This is a stepping stone that serves as a cornerstone habit to other parts of your life. So Toastmasters, pros and cons aside, it is one of the best investments that you can make, whether you are a beginner speaker or whether you're thinking about improving your speaking further. The more that you improve, the more that you should make it a conscious effort to contribute back to the club by joining a leadership position. See how far you can push it. And the more that you invest in Toastmasters, the more that you start becoming more social, more confident, and more of a creator. This club is a gem that is waiting to be discovered. So make this year the year that you finally discover it. If you found this video helpful today, make sure you drop a like right down below and you share this video on your social media of choice. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.